This happened to me a few nights ago, and it's been getting worse. The only reason I'm posting this is because I've read a few stories on here that seem like I'm not the only one who has experienced something like this. It was April 28th around 10:30 at night. I work third shift, so I was getting ready for work like usual. Every window in my house has curtains or blinds except for one room. The one room that should have blinds or curtains for privacy. The bathroom. I live out in the country with two neighbors. I can see if I walk to the end of my driveway and can barely see their mailboxes. So I figured my bathroom window facing the woods and my backyard wouldn't be a place to worry about curtains. Well, I was wrong. I first heard something when I was smoking in the bathroom before my shower. I had the window open while smoking a cigarette. I kept hearing what sounded like footsteps. It was raining, so I thought it was the raindrops, so I ignored it and closed the window and got into the shower. I don't normally spook easily, but as soon as I put shampoo in my hair, I felt uneasy. That's when I heard something. The bathroom window slide open. I yanked open the curtain, trying to see if my girlfriend snuck in and tried to scare me. When I finally got a clear look after the water and soap left my eyes, my heart started racing. There was handprints and a face print where someone pressed against the window. I yelled for my girlfriend to see if it was her, but she didn't answer. I turned back to the window and there he was. Face pressed against the window, smiling wide enough to split the corner of his lips. I jumped back and screamed loud enough to wake my neighbors. My screaming must have startled him because he ran off. I grabbed my phone and called the cops, telling them what happened, and it took about 15 minutes before they got here. After what felt like hours, but was probably 10 minutes, they told me that they found nothing, but if I seen the man again, to call them. I was more than annoyed, but had no other choice but just to hope it didn't happen again. The next night still rattled by. I decided to not leave my girlfriend home alone and call in work. It got to be around 3 a.m. and I was getting ready to go to bed. I had to go to washroom and was a little nervous about the night before, but went anyways. I was relieved to see no grinning face, but hurried anyway and hopped into bed. That's when the tapping and giggling started. My heart nearly pounded through my chest as I sat straight up panting. Had I imagined it? I listened carefully to see if I heard it again, but there was nothing. Like an idiot, I thought it was maybe my mind playing tricks on me in the half-awake, half-asleep daze. I finally fell asleep and was relieved when I woke up to the sun pouring through the curtains. I groggily stumbled to the bathroom for my morning pee. As I walked, I nearly shit my pants. The window was open and there was writing on the bathroom window. Ignoring us won't help. You know how ever since you were a little kid, people told you not to worry about the boogeyman, monsters under the bed, ghosts? Don't worry, they're not real. But you still worried. We all did. How could we not? The threat of imminent death was lurking inches away. But then we grew up. We don't worry as much. But there are still moments when we might double check around a corner when we feel shivers run down our spines. That instinct to look never really goes away. Have you ever wondered what would happen though if you resisted the urge? When you felt eyes on you from across an empty room, or the slight tickle of a fingernail running across your back, if you just simply ignored it? Well, I found out. I've lost my sanity. It doesn't like being ignored. Those little peeks around the corner or checks under the bed keep it feeling wanted. It will never hurt you as long as you always check. It smiles when you notice its presence. But when it feels ignored, it gets angry with a temper incomparable to any human level of rage. It all started when I felt like someone was watching me while I showered. You know that feeling you get sometimes when you submerge yourself under the downpour of the shower head and everything just goes quiet? That's when I felt it. Watching me from behind the curtain, every time I closed my eyes under the water, I felt it get closer, peeking behind the curtain at me when I was most vulnerable. I told myself I'm 25 now. I cannot scare myself into believing I'm being watched all the time. What am I, a schizophrenic? Trying to ward off the thought of my possible psychosis, I told myself I would refuse to look, no matter how scared I got. This is a tactic I use quite a bit to conquer my little obstacles. Anytime I wanted to quit smoking or stop biting my nails or any other annoying habit I had, I would just tell myself not to do it. Do not engage in the impulses. So I finished my shower, quite proud of myself for not checking behind the curtain for a certain non-existent threat. I had proven myself right, or so I thought. I hadn't understood what the implications of this simple non-action would be. I got into bed, towel wrapped around my damp hair, and cozied myself up with my laptop and a cup of hot chocolate. That's when I felt it again, like someone was peeking out from behind the corner of my closet door every time I looked down to read. I could see it in my peripheral vision, the crack in the closet door. Tired and frustrated with my own paranoia, I threw the covers off my legs and stormed over to the closet, slamming the door shut without looking inside. I turned to walk back to my bed, and that's when I heard the most awful noise. I can't even describe it. I get emotional just recalling how shrill and terrifying it is. Have you ever heard a cat or a dog? Been there to witness the moment it was injured? When I was 5 or 6, we had a cat that liked to pat at the treadmill while my mom walked. One day, her paw was stuck under by the belt of the treadmill, and she made the most disturbing noise that adequately conveyed her level of fear and pain in that moment. This is what I would compare that noise to: a scared, threatened, wounded animal. And it was coming from everywhere, not just the closet. It sounded like a sonic boom, with a palpable pulse in the air, making my bones vibrate. I covered my ears instinctively and ran to my bed, throwing myself under the covers to try and provide as much of a barrier between my eardrums and the sound as I could. After about 30 seconds of sheer terror, it stopped. Everything was quiet, my ceiling fan still shaking from the intensity. That's when I heard a soft whisper or whimper in my ringing ear, as if it was resting on my shoulder. I just need you to know I'm here. Don't worry. I felt a single teardrop run down the back of my neck, and I quickly wiped it away. I stared at the trail of dampness on my palm for what had to be for hours, until no trace of tear could be found. But I stared at that spot, hearing those words echo in my mind in the same quiet sadness they had been whispered the first time. It needs you to know it's there, It won't hurt you, as long as you acknowledge its presence. Anytime you feel the urge to look over your shoulder or check behind the door, please do. Please don't ignore it, and don't worry. I was probably 18 when this happened. This is why I don't stop at rest areas anymore. A friend and I were driving home from the nearest metropolitan area, about a 2-hour drive. It was winter and the moon was full, so even though it was nighttime, it wasn't pitch black. We drove for maybe 40 minutes before I fell asleep in the passenger seat. When I woke up, I was alone in the car and it was parked. Out the driver's side window was a building for restrooms, so I knew I was in a rest area and I assumed my friend was in there taking a leak. I looked out my window at a large garden area with shrubs and trees. My eyes followed the paved little walkway towards the back of the garden, near a patch of thin trees about 20 feet away, when I saw the silhouette of a horned figure. My eyes skimmed over it at first, then immediately returned. It was the figure of a devil, with broad shoulders like a titan, slightly hunched over, and with 2 horns that curved upward and nearly touched on top of his head. It was just standing there, not moving at all. My heart sped up, but I couldn't look away from it. Maybe it was just a weird statue, I thought, or an odd-shaped tree. I pulled my attention away, hoping I'd see my friend walking up to the car, but I didn't. I checked and locked all the car doors except the driver's seat. I heard a choking or gurgling sound coming from the direction of my window, and when my eyes returned to the figure, it was closer, about 10 feet away, still with the same hunched over and crooked posture. I could make out its eyes now. They were white with small black dots for pupils. Wide, open and psychotic, straining and just staring at me. A foamy substance bubbling out of its mouth was the only thing that moved. Its body looked slightly orange from the streetlight and contorted. Its arms were behind its back and its legs looked broken at the knees and jutted out in either direction. It didn't seem like it would be able to stand upright on its own, but nevertheless, it just stood there very still. I never saw it move once. It was very surreal, and I wondered if what I was seeing was real. My friend got in the car, scared the crap out of me, and I screamed out loud. When I pointed out the window to show him, his face turned white and serious. We got out of there pretty quickly. Looking back on it now, the figure should have had a shadow because of where it was standing in relation to the street light, but I don't think it did. Or maybe I just don't remember. I still don't know what it was, if someone was just messing with me, or if I actually saw some kind of demon that night. It scares me to think that my friend was out there with it briefly, and didn't even know. Rest stops are notoriously creepy. Let's all just agree to stop using them, okay?